Hey, originally I wanted to make a video about the changes in Ladybug Tools 1.8, but since I got so many requests and questions about the tool, I thought instead of making a general video about the changes, I will address the problems my viewers face. So this is an attempt to answer as many problems as possible. All right, let's get started. First up, this is the latest comment. It's not really about Ladybug Tools 1.8, but it's about Honeybee, and I thought I would address this here. The question is related to Radiance, where I discuss how to set up, for example, a glare study. And the viewer had the question, by the way, I cannot pronounce that name, sorry. But the question was, hello, thank you for this video. I have a question about Radiance parameter. I have no idea why we should choose between low and high and how we can know about it and choose the right one. Well, it's very simple. There is no right or wrong. The world has lots of shades. The world is not black and white. It has lots of shades in between, lots of different colors. The simplest answer I can give you, low, you choose low if you don't have time. If you don't have a lot of time, and you choose high when you have more time. It's only about the resolution. If you want to be more specific with your test, and you have a certain area in your model where you want to be very precise, then you choose high. And if you want to get an overview of your situation, you choose low. It's really just about resolution. But I will set up a very simple model, and so I can show also this, that I can answer you this question and also the other questions. All right, let's jump into Rhino. I set up this very simple model. In order for this to work, we need to first set up a simple Honeybee model, which I will do here. I'll just have a room. I have one room. It's one box, and set one box. Oh no, sorry, one B-rep. All right, okay. I will not go through all these like sets, construction set, modification sets, modifier sets, sorry, construction sets, and program and so on. That I already covered. And I will only address things where it's really changed from previous versions. This is my room. I can set another room. I'll copy this here and set this as another room. My second room is actually my ground, and I can set this here in Honeybee Energy as Honeybee ground. It basically chooses a room, and that's my ground level. And my tree, I can actually I can specify that as a shading device. All right, we also add a window. Let's create a window. At least one window would be good. By the way, this window is not allowed to overlap with a corner. Which one is snapping off? A corner of a window or a door cannot overlap with a corner of your room. That wouldn't work if this would be at the same location. Anyway, so this is my window. Now, basically I have a window, I have some shading device, I have a room, I have a ground. Now I can choose here apertures. This is my window. And I'll just choose my tree as a shading. I can also put this here. It comes a bit late in the chain. I'm also a bit rusty with this, but now I can add here my aperture. So I take the room. This is my building basically. Get this in here, and I will add here subsurface. Now I have added my windows or doors. Both. You can both plug this in here. I like to separate this a bit, so you could also have another one, attach this, and then add your doors so they are separated. We can add a shading, add shade, Honeybee add shade. So it's always the latest. It's always the latest tool in the chain, the last tool in the chain, which is the current version. These are done basically. There's nothing to. We have this room, then we added our windows, and now we add the shading to the model. This is my tree, and probably is not a good idea. Let's check that. Yes, that's what I want. I actually want to apply the shading to the entire model and not just to that room. So this is a wrong thinking. You could, if you have a shading directly on your building, you can add that to your building. But in that case, because it's a tree next to it, I will apply the shading directly onto the Honeybee model. And the room itself is not yet the Honeybee model. So we need to add the rooms here, and we add the other room. With Shift you can add more things at the same slot, and then here I can add the shades like this. Now I have my Honeybee model. Very simple model. Only special thing here is the ground. That's, a lot of people don't know that. We can do this. Okay. Now we have our Honeybee model. Now we can go into Honeybee Radiance, and we can choose here. Now I can choose here the Honeybee point in time grid based model. Let's see, point in time recipes requires a sky and can output illuminance, irradiance, illumines and radiance. All right, the model needs to go here. We can choose a sky from the light source. We can choose a standard sky for this. Actually, I don't want to choose a standard sky because I need to then add a climate-based sky. Custom sky. Nah, no. Just this one, the value, the very simple illuminance. Create a uniform sky that yields a certain illuminance. The default is 10,000 lux. I can place this here. We need a toggle, Boolean toggle, and now we would be able to add our radiance parameters. And there is the default. There's already a default in here, so we don't really need to set this, but we can. Of course, the parameters are here, radiance parameters. Now, because this is a point in time grid-based analysis, we would choose the point in time grid-based point in time grid recipe, which is 0. So we can choose here 0, and now we can choose the detail level, and that's the whole question. Again, there's no right or wrong. It's just about how detailed the output needs to be for your test. 0 would be low, and 1 and 2 would be high. 1 would be middle and medium, and 2 would be high. And then here are additional parameters. But let's not bother with this. We can plug this in here. It also has run settings. And what I forgot, we need a grid. I set this grid from rooms. It's the easiest. Oh, yes. Ha! That's it's a good one. There are 2 different types now. There's a radial grid, and there is a sensor grid. The sensor grid from rooms. I will take the second one here, and I take the room where I want to apply this. So this is my room. The grid size is basically the distance between the grid points. Can take a slider. This is, by the way, in meters. So I would have a grid every 25 centimeters, and you can already see it now. So if I go here on wireframe, then you can see here the grid inside. It's not very good to understand. So let me do something else. In Honeybee, we can choose this tool here. Yes, Honeybee, we can choose this Honeybee Visualize Wireframe. That's very handy. Can place this in here, and we can turn this all off. Also my aperture. Oops. Preview. Just turn off the preview. Oh, no, that's not what I want. Turn off my preview. Okay. By the way, what you can see here, this is not the original Rhino geometry. This is actually a mesh created from the original geometry. It might be tricky to have this tree here because it probably will take much longer to calculate, but it doesn't matter. Let's see. We set up a grid. Now we need to apply the grid to the model. So I go back here into Radiance, and there is an option here. It says assign sensor grid. It's my model here. Put a grid here, and now this is my new model. So I need to change that output here. So just for better understanding, we created our Honeybee model where we have applied shading. We also applied the apertures to the rooms first. So we created rooms first. We created a room also for the ground level. Then we declared this as a ground level. We can also specify what type that ground material is. In here it says grassy lawn, dry sand, and so on. We then applied our aperture. In this case we only have one window. We applied it to our room. So this is our new room. The room goes into the Honeybee model. Both rooms go into the Honeybee model. The ground and our building go into here. And then this is our model. And now we need to apply the grid to the model. For that, we need to specify the room, which room we want to have a grid for, in which room we want to have the grid, which room we want to analyze, basically. We can also specify the distance to the floor. So where is it measured, basically? Oops, copy. Because I'm above here, I'm above the window, I will just put it lower, so a bit lower. Originally is around seating height, so 0.8 meters. That gives us a grid. It gives us also points, gives us a mesh. So we have 3 outputs here. The grid is important in order to apply it to the model. So for the model, we create this tool to see only the wireframe. And then we have this tool where we can apply our grid to the model. It's not automatically applied. Just need to make sure that you understand it. So that take the grid, put it in here, and the model, we put it in here. And there's also views, by the way. I will not talk about the views now. We can talk about it another day. So this is our sky. It's a very generic sky. I didn't change the values. And now we should be able to run it. And that could be just, the output can just be placed into a heat map. So let's do that. Ladybug, spatial heat map, values. Now we need the mesh. We need the output mesh. This is the one here that goes in here. And we should be able to run this now. It takes a bit for this to start, but yeah, it's working. It seems like it's working. And it's there. All right, so this is a point in time calculation. It's a generic sky model, and we have here the resolution. Now, actually to the question. So as I said, let's run this again because I want to measure something. So I want to measure how long this takes. So about 20 seconds. Let's compare that with if I would use a different detail here. Let's choose one. This would be medium detail. So let's run this. Yeah, around the same time, really. You can also compare the numbers here. What's the output if this is the same? I will choose now 2. Yeah, so that took much longer. That took 1.5 minutes to calculate. You can see actually that it's much cleaner in terms of the distribution of this. So again, it's really just about how accurate you want to be. I'll go back here, and so you can see in comparison what that looks like. Kind of stuck here. I don't know why it's stuck here. This step 5 to 8 seems. Oops, holla, that's not good. Also, the numbers have changed. If you remember, here was different, and it seems like much less refined. So yeah, here you see it. It's just really about the accuracy of the result. But if you don't have a lot of time, it's a pretty good result. That's the whole point. So you have options. Now, if you want to learn more about this, if you go here on the middle bit of the tool, and it pops up here, it says get recommended Radiance parameters given a recipe type and a level of detail. The original recommendation for the various Radiance parameters comes from this document. So there's actually a website where you can look it up and you can see what the recommended recipe and details should be. And in order to copy this, just double click here if you want. Should be here. And you have the text here. You can just copy this here. And let's have a look. It's going to be really dry. I will not go through all this, but you can see it here. You can read through it and then you know. All right, so what else? Next question. Next question here was, hi, it was very helpful, thank you. When I imported my file into Design Builder, the walls imported as partitions. Do you know how to fix this? Sorry, I don't know. I don't know the Design Builder. Sorry for that. Can't really help on that, really. All right, next one. What do I need to do when there's a yellow sign that says old on my sky matrix? Yeah, so that happens if you, for example, you copy the file from somebody. For example, you copied a script from somebody and that somebody used an older Ladybug version. Then you will import these tools from that script into your Grasshopper, and then it will say, oh, this is old, this is an old tool. I will try to recreate that so you can see what I mean. Okay, I don't really have that problem with an older file, but so let's say you have you installed a new Ladybug Tools. I have installed 1.8. See, this is still 1.6. It would tell you that it's super outdated. You need to change it. Then it probably would say old. But then you can just take whatever is old. Let's, for example, here, Ladybug Orient Camera. Let's see if we can change that. Ladybug Orient Camera, I can just get the new one. You can see your number, the old number here, and the new number. That should be the one you have installed, and then you can just change it. And I just match the outputs, and you can just delete that, and this is your updated version. I guess in this case, because they're all still valid, that's why it doesn't really say it's old. Probably if it's like a really, really old version from a much, much older file, I don't know. Anyway, again, if you have any tool where it says old, you can always find that tool, the new version of the tool, and just replace it. It's just simple, it's as simple as that. Thanks for the in-depth explanation. I think the link to downloading the script might be broken. Would someone be able to send it to me, Dropbox or G Drive? I stopped providing scripts. I would, in cases, probably help my members, my channel members with their scripts, but I stopped because I'm not a service in the sense I just show how this tool works. But if I would provide my scripts, that could be a problem for me, because if it's used in a commercial project and it doesn't work, then it could be quite a problem for myself. And that's why I encourage people who want to learn about it, please do it yourself. And you will not learn it if you just get a script from somebody else. The good thing is that Ladybug Tools, Honeybee, Dragonfly, even Butterfly and Ladybug itself have example files. And the example files are in your installation folder. So that's really handy. So you can actually you can look at the example files. So you can also test if your installation works. All right. But yeah, again, for members, I make exceptions, and sometimes I also make exceptions if somebody sent me his script and I can go through and see what the problem is. Next question. Hello, thank you for the content. Recently, I'm looking for a tutorial about how to design a sunshade for a window in order to block the sun in a specific time in a year. For instance, summertime. I found an option in Ladybug Legacy, but it doesn't work. And it seems there is none in the new version. Would you please help me? Thank you. Okay, so he's using, or he or she is using Ladybug 1.8. I said, which version of Ladybug Tools are you using? And I explained based on the latest version, perhaps 1.8 if that works for you. And by the way, it doesn't work for everything because it depends. And we will go through that. Thank you for your quick response. I use 1.8. I tend to calculate the length of the shade for a south window in a hot climate. When I calculated manually, the result was different from Ladybug benefit shade. I really appreciate your help. I'm not sure what he means actually. He calculated the shade manually. I'm not sure how that works, but let's have a look. So I want to have a shade which changes in a specific time of the year. So for example, I have a shade which I can retract and just opens, or it's a tree which loses its leaves. So that could be another way. So what I could do, let's go into Ladybug. Sorry, Honeybee. I'm going back to my previous tool here. Okay. For this, actually, the samples are really very useful. So I just want to show you in your installation file. So if you download your tools, your Ladybug tools, doesn't matter which version, and you open it up, you extract everything, and you go into your folder, you find your installation instruction, the uninstaller, and the license, and then samples. And in here you have samples for all of the 3 different components: Honeybee, Ladybug, and Dragonfly. And then Honeybee is divided into Honeybee Energy, Honeybee Radiance, and Honeybee. And the reason is Honeybee is basically the general tool to create a Honeybee model, and then Honeybee Energy and Honeybee Radiance, they use different third-party software to actually calculate stuff. Honeybee Radiance, you can, for example, here choose dynamic apertures. You can change dynamic apertures or auto dynamic apertures. Let's have a look at this. So we can basically just grab our thing and just create a new script. For example, I open this up. That gives me a complete script about dynamic apertures. And so now this is a bit tricky because if you want to have a dynamic object which changes its appearance over time, then Honeybee Energy is dealing with dynamic objects differently than Radiance. So it depends on what you really want to calculate. If you calculate your energy, if you do energy calculations, then you can set a schedule for your shading device. And I did a video about that. The video, let me have a look where this was. Actually, I made a video about dynamic shading in here, and that where I failed. I failed because it actually doesn't work in that way, and I'll show you very quickly. But if you want to look at these 2 videos, you might get a better understanding of what's happening. So Honeybee Radiance basically use dynamic objects in a different way than Energy Plus. As you can see here, I'm here in this sample file which talks about dynamic states of apertures. And what's happening, there is a tool where you can apply a dynamic aperture to the calculation after you ran your, for example, annual daylight simulation. That's obviously quite different to Honeybee Energy, where Honeybee Energy, you set a schedule and you apply it to your shading or your aperture. I'll show you this first, and then you can tell me if that is the thing you were looking for. So, for example, I have my shading device is my tree. The shading device is my tree, and it's changing in summer because it has loads of leaves, and the winter has no leaves. So you could set the schedule, and maybe I'm looking up something where I can see this. Maybe there's a schedule here in Honeybee. Creating schedules here. That's the one I'm looking for. Different ones, weekly schedules, seasonal schedule. So in my case, my tree is here. This is my tree. Now you can see that you can apply here Energy Plus construction set or Energy Plus transparency schedule. It's a transmittant schedule. In case you work with Honeybee Energy, you can use schedules directly with your shading device. So we set up this tree, and I just make a very simple example so you understand what's and how that works. If I let me run this first again, you can see here the numbers. These are the looks: 1910 to 145, roughly. Now, if I add a schedule to my object, by the way, you can turn off these grid points. Turn this off. Okay, so this is my current result. Now, if I would have a schedule on a transparency schedule, an E plus transparency schedule, then these numbers would be different. And you get schedules like this. So you can look up schedules with the schedule within the schedule library, and you can place here, for example, a panel and say shade, this is one way. That the other way, you can check my videos, because I did a video about schedules and you can see how that works. Shade, you can place this in here. And now with our very cool human tool here, this is a human. I would recommend to install it. It's really useful. It has an item selector. You could do that with, of course, with list selection. That's also possible, but I like this. And now you can see I put here shade. I get two options here: skylight shade schedule and DER res monthly shade schedule, whatever that means. It's just an example on how that works. These are prefab schedules you can use in your scripts. You can also build them, but for that this video is too short. We would not be able to look at that now. For that I can show you the video I created in the past. Now you can basically take this and place it in here. You can also look into the schedule if you want to know what that schedule does. You can go here and deconstruct schedule, so you get an understanding of what's in there. Here's some day names, data. Of course, you can also place a panel here if you want and look at it in this way. Anyway, if I now take the schedule and place it into my transparency schedule here, then it will, first of all, it will recalculate, and you will see that the numbers have changed. So it's recalculating, and now you can see it's slightly different, and this is because we have a certain schedule here on that tree. You can look into one of my old videos, which is the Honeybee Energy Part 6. All you need to know about schedules. So I would recommend to look at that video, so you get a better understanding how schedules work. Sorry. And let's see, and then let me know if that answers your question. Next question: how can I update all my nodes that are on version 1.7? I use the version component. This component update to version 1.8, but it kept my scripts on version 1.71. I don't know. Let me check it out. Let's check this question again. Hello Philip, how can I update all my nodes that are on version 1.71? I used the version component. This component updated the version 1.8, but it kept my script on version 1.71. Yeah, so I don't think there's a way to do that. I just also looked at this, how this might work. But the versioner only updates Ladybug. So ironically, I made a video about how to install 1.8. You can actually update it very simply with this tool. It's the cover, of course, of this last video. This is the simple version on, if you already have everything set up, then this, of course, is the most easiest version to update your Ladybug tools. Now, when it comes to your script, I don't think it would be a great idea it would be cool to have that, but it would need to be a separate one, so it doesn't update your Ladybug tools and the script, because you might don't want that. Or maybe there should be I don't know, some way to specify you want to update your Ladybug tools, but you don't want to update your scripts, or you want to update your scripts. Now, it still will not make sure that your script will run automatically, because in every version, I mean, sometimes these slots are pretty similar from version to version, but sometimes they change, and then it's getting quite fussy. So you would end up probably with some tools having their connections removed. I don't think it's that simple that you just update the tool itself. It would be great if it can automatically recognize that, oh, there are Ladybug tools in there which needs to be updated. Would be perfect. But yeah, no, I don't think that will work. You have to do it manually. The good thing is about doing it manually, you see that there are new tools. So for example, the LB view factors, they have new kind of options which we didn't have before. Now, I don't know why my computer is so slow today. But yeah, you would need to do it manually. So I would then probably do this. And in that case, there's no change really. So in that case, it would be really good to have that that option. But yeah, it doesn't exist. Yeah, you would need to manually basically just redo it. Results in here, mesh in here, legend into here. And so, yeah, that's my only solution for you. All right, but if anyone has a better solution, and maybe there's somebody wrote the script for it already, and you know, you can just use a script and that replaces everything, please let us know. Thank you very much. I'm learning a lot from your tutorials, and thanks to that, my project has turned out spectacular product. It's a very interesting grammar. Well, I'm very happy that it's the case. So this whole Octopus thing about reiterating, like for example Galapagos, the problem with this is really difficult. So the person is asking, "Hi Philip, thank you for this tutorial. Is there any way we can use this information with Octopus to iterate the forms of the building?" In theory, yes, but it's gonna be really difficult. So there needs to be a lot of like workarounds, because it's not gonna it's gonna take really long to calculate, and then it's kind of the question, does it really make sense? And maybe, so I would use, first of all, I would limit it to one goal, and I would use Galapagos for that first of all, because so the question is really, what do you want to get out of it? What do you so imagine what would be the best outcome. Of course, is that on your plane or site, you want to optimize the outer comfort for, probably you want to do it annually. Now that's already a problem, because this outer comfort butterfly combination only works for single times, like point in time iterations. It will not give you an analysis for the entire year. So I would probably ditch the butterfly here and work with the outer comfort first, and then you test your butterfly, then you test the wind in a second kind of iteration. So what I'm saying is that imagine a generic wind situation. What could be the wind there and which direction? You can specify that within Ladybug. And then you have your, I don't know, your script for your building shape or building position or where you want that. And then you run through, and basically your goal is to optimize the outer comfort. In Galapagos, you could basically just calculate create an average of all your grid nodes, and and you specify a goal in Galapagos or in Octopus, which you then work towards. I would probably start very simple. If you go to this one of my latest scripts, content, so Ladybug and Galapagos, here I actually change the building. I'm changing the building facade in order to calculate the view, and basically goes with Galapagos. Or I could also use Octopus, but I feel like I would probably first stick with this, with one goal rather than several goals. And it would be very similar. The output would be very similar. Now I'm very intrigued actually, that maybe we should try it. All right, let's do it. All right, this was the first video. I will make a follow-up, because there are way more questions I need to answer. The last one, I'm really intrigued, and I want to show it, but without the butterfly component first. But we will have a look on how we could solve that as well. So that will be in the next video, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and yeah, see you in the next one. All right, see you. Bye.